If I could be anywhere in the world right now, it would be Tokyo. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maria. So in case you didn't know, the Tokyo Disney Resort is reopening this week on July 1st. The resort has been closed since mid-March, I believe, so after a very long closure due to the current pandemic, I'm sure that the world is very excited to be getting its Tokyo Disney magic back. So similar to what I did in celebration of the Shanghai Disney Resort reopening, I thought it would be really fun if I made a video talking about my experiences when I visited the Tokyo Disney Resort way back in 2018. I visited in March 2018. I spent 2 days at Disneyland and 1 day at DisneySea. The Tokyo Disney Resort is just such an incredible place. It's really well known for its innovation and of course its over-the-top cuteness and Disney magic. There is so much to talk about for the whole resort, so for this video specifically, I will only be talking about my 2 days at the Disneyland park. I figured I would make a separate video talking about my experience visiting DisneySea because I didn't want this video to be too long, and let's be honest, DisneySea deserves its own video. I hope that this video will be able to share the Tokyo Disney magic with you guys, as well as if you're hoping to visit Tokyo in the future, I hope that it can help answer some questions that you might have. So without further ado, let's begin. So Disneyland has its own subway station, and when you get off, you kind of walk down off the train station platform, and then you are able to go up the kind of like platform up into the Disneyland entrance, and it's just, it's so magical. Basically, you keep walking for a while and you get to kind of like a Disney hub, and there's like a gift shop, as well as if you go towards one direction, there is a monorail that you would take to go over to DisneySea. But if you keep walking, you go to the entrance of Disneyland. I was bouncing with joy as soon as we ran up to the entrance. I was so excited, of course. The very first thing that I did when we got to Disneyland was buy my Sakura pink mini ears. These ears were released just a few weeks before my trip, I believe, so I was so hoping that they wouldn't be sold out by the time I got there. So when I saw them at the first shop, I just snatched them up as soon as I could. Something special that was happening while I visited was actually there was the Anna and Elsa Frozen Fantasy celebration going on. So when I entered the park, there were tons of different Frozen decorations up, and then throughout the trip, we were also able to try like different Frozen treats, and it was just so cool to see everything decorated for Frozen because I love Frozen. So something unique about Tokyo Disneyland is that instead of the traditional Main Street USA, like many of the other Disney parks, you're actually entering on the World Bazaar. World Bazaar is pretty similar to Main Street USA. It's got all the beautiful shops, but something that's very iconic about it is the beautiful glass archway. So World Bazaar is covered with a glass archway roof, and I read that this is because Tokyo can actually get pretty severe weather like snow. It's just so beautiful because I had never been to a Main Street USA that was covered as if under a bazaar. Another thing that we saw at the beginning of the day for the Frozen celebration was there was like a little mini Frozen parade, so it was so cute getting to see all the characters come out and the parade floats going by, so that was pretty special too. The very first attraction that my mom and I did throughout the day was Cinderella's Fairytale Hall. Now this attraction was absolutely amazing because it was basically a Cinderella castle walkthrough. I love the Disney Parks castle walkthroughs. I've been able to do quite a few now, still waiting on Disneyland Paris, but this one was so magical. You got to go up into Cinderella Castle and see all these different beautiful displays of artwork telling Cinderella's story. There were also stunning stained glass windows that you could look out into Fantasyland on, which I absolutely fell in love with because it was such a beautiful view. Then farther on in the attraction, there were these interactive magic shots. Basically, when you stood in front of these magic shots and took a photo with the flash on your camera, it would light up these kind of like sparkles, and it was just so cool. It basically looked like the fairy godmother's magic was coming to life in the photo. You also got to go in, and I believe there were some photo ops with Cinderella's throne and her glass slipper. It was pretty busy in there, so I don't think I did too many of those, but I really loved the magic shots. After we exited the castle, we ended up running into some of Cinderella's mice friends. Something interesting about Tokyo Disneyland is that meeting characters in the Disney parks there is a little different than what you would normally expect at the American parks. So at Tokyo Disneyland, characters roam freely. There aren't too many places where you can just go wait in line to meet a character. It's kind of just they come out and walk around like they please. And this is really magical. It's so fun getting to see them interact with the park and just kind of have fun. But the one thing that I can kind of see is like a negative to it is that it tends to be pretty crowded and thus making it pretty difficult to meet the characters. Something I will say about my trip, unfortunately, was that it was very, very busy. My mom and I went on spring break, like March break for us, and I believe it must have been some sort of student holiday that time as well, because there were a lot of like student age people visiting, which was, you know, something we didn't expect, which unfortunately made the park very busy. So when we were trying to meet the characters, they tended to get a lot of crowds around them. However, my mom and I were able to get up and meet Susie and Perla in front of the castle, which was very fun in Fantasyland. After that, my mom and I went to have lunch at the Queen of Hearts banquet hall. This restaurant was themed so well. It was themed, of course, after Alice in Wonderland, so everything was themed as if you were in the Queen of Hearts kingdom. I believe my mom and I got a swordfish dish, which was absolutely delicious. And just being in there was so cool. I loved getting to see the cards painting the roses red and the Queen of Hearts and the king all around, so it was just a pretty special place to eat. Along with lunch there, I also had plenty of amazing snacks throughout the day. Tokyo Disneyland has some of the best Disney park snacks I have ever seen. They are delicious, but they are also so amazing to look at. So for example, throughout the day, I tried a white chocolate churro, the Mike's melon bread, which was my favorite by far, and then I also tried some of these signature popcorn flavors that they had. That day, my mom and I tried the honey flavor, the milk chocolate flavor, and then the soy sauce and butter popcorn as well. In case you didn't know, popcorn in Tokyo Disneyland is a big thing. So big that literally in their park maps, they have a section on the map that tells you where you can go around the park to find all these specialty popcorn flavors. My mom really loved the milk chocolate, but I think my favorite was soy sauce and butter or honey. Throughout the day, of course, we also rode plenty of rides. There are a lot of specialty rides in Tokyo, as well as some classic rides that you would find at the other Disney parks. So for example, I rode Star Tours throughout the day, which was actually really cool because I remember I got to go on one of the new scenes from The Last Jedi. We did Snow White's Scary Adventure, which was fun because I hadn't been on it since they closed it down in Walt Disney World. In the morning, we were able to snag a fast pass for Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek. Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek is so cool. It's basically like you're going through the city of Monstropolis and all the power is out, all the lights are off, so everyone decides to play hide and go seek. It's kind of like the Buzz Lightyear ride that they have in Disneyland and Walt Disney World, because basically you get a flashlight and you have to shine it on the targets, which is the Monsters Inc. logo. And then it's really cute because monsters will pop up like, oh, you found me, and it's just so fun overall getting to see all the hidden details of Monstropolis. Another special attraction that we did was a re-theme of the Enchanted Tiki Room. So instead of the classic Enchanted Tiki Room, it is actually re-themed after Lilo and Stitch. It's called the Enchanted Tiki Room Stitch Presents Aloha Ikomomai. Basically, it's like the Enchanted Tiki Room, but it's as if Stitch crashes in. It's so fun because basically it's just singing like Lilo and Stitch songs all the time, like the old Aloha Ikomomai theme song for the show on Disney Channel, which I was obsessed with when I was younger, so that was a really fun throwback. So fortunately on the first day, it was pretty windy, so the day parade and night parade got canceled, but it's okay because we were able to do it on the second day. So because there was no night parade to wait around for, my mom and I decided to head back to our hotel in Kamada so we could get up bright and early the next day to go to DisneySea. So now on our second day, we ended up going to Tokyo DisneySea, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to be making a separate video talking about that park, so I'm just going to skip ahead to our third day in the parks, which was our second day at Tokyo Disneyland. So this day was equally magical. The weather was much better, which meant that we got to see both the day parade and the night parade, which I will talk about in a bit. So on our last day at Disneyland, my mom and I rode different rides that we hadn't done yet. We went on Peter Pan's Flight, which is one of my favorite attractions. Basically at Tokyo, the Peter Pan's Flight is pretty similar. It's like the same concept as the other ones in other Disney parks, but it had its own like Tokyo touches. The technology was newer, so it had some different special characteristics than say the classic one in Walt Disney World, and just overall I loved it. You can't go wrong with Peter Pan's Flight. Like I said at the beginning of the video, unfortunately my mom and I did visit Tokyo at a very busy time in the parks. There were pros and cons to this, of course, the cons being, you know, very long lines for everything. But one thing I will say that we really enjoyed about it being so busy was getting to see everyone so dressed up. If you ever go to Tokyo, one thing that you will notice is that it's so trendy there to dress up like crazy when you go to the Disney parks. Like, I'm talking Disney bounding to the next level. We were thinking it was a student holiday because there were so many young people there and they all love to dress up and match with their friends, and it was just so cool getting to see all their amazing outfits. A big thing in Japanese culture is the culture of cuteness, which is called kawaii. So it was really fun getting to see everyone in their kawaii outfits. So my mom and I did a couple of bigger attractions like Peter Pan's Flight, where we had to wait a little while in lines, but then we also did some smaller attractions that weren't as popular, but we still enjoyed. So for example, we did the Western Railroad, which is like the train that goes around the park, which we loved. It even had a dinosaur scene, which we were not expecting, but then I remembered they have one in Disneyland, I believe. So just kind of forgot about that. We also did the Country Bear Jamboree, which was so fun getting to hear all the songs in Japanese because we've obviously only ever heard them in English, so it was pretty fun. On this day, my mom and I also did a ton of shopping. I did a lot of shopping earlier on in DisneySea and a little bit on the first day, but that last day was when I really wanted to cash in everything I had seen. Tokyo Disneyland is also really well known for its amazing merchandise. The merchandise that they have at Tokyo is better than any I've seen at any Disney park around the world that I've been to. Everything is just so creative and adorable, and there's just so much merchandise. There were plushes and pens and fashion and keychains, and if I didn't have to budget myself, I probably would have brought home a suitcase full. If you're interested in seeing the merchandise that I brought home from Tokyo, I do have a Disney International Parks merchandise haul, which I will tag above. Be sure to check it out because, like I said, even though I was budgeting myself, I still brought home a lot. So like I said, the weather was much better this day, so we were able to watch both the day parade and night parade. So in the afternoon, we got to watch the day parade called Happiness is Here. This parade, oh my goodness. Like everything in Tokyo Disneyland, it was Disney magic and Disney cuteness to the next level. These parade floats were larger than life. The music was amazing, the floats were amazing, and I loved all the characters that were showcased. So overall, it was fantastic. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite float in Happiness is Here. I did really love the Winnie the Pooh float that they had. It was so adorable, but I think my favorite part in the parade were the different characters that they had on carousel horses because that was so magical. I remember I also had a lot of different characters wave to me, which is so sweet. I had Aurora, my favorite princess, and then Jasmine waved to me as well, and Mary Poppins, so I felt very special. After the parade, my mom and I went back to the Queen of Hearts banquet hall for lunch again. Like I said, we loved it so much, so we were more than happy to go eat there again. However, since it was our last day, we did end up treating ourselves to one of the unbirthday cakes that they had. This cake was delicious. It was about this big. It was kind of enough for like 2-3 people or so, but it was just so delicious. It was like a light cake with very light and fluffy icing, and it had fresh fruit on top as well as some unbirthday decorations. So it was just such a fun treat to get together to celebrate such a magical trip. Like I said before, my favorite treat was the Mike's Melon Bread that I got at the Sweetheart Cafe, so we actually ended up going back down to the World Bazaar on our second day so I could get another one because it was delicious. It might be kind of hard for me to describe it to you guys, but basically the Mike's Melon Bread, it's like a little like sweet roll, but then it's got like kind of like sweet melon juice in it. Like, I don't know, maybe it sounds weird to you, but it's just so delicious. Like, I absolutely loved it. And of course, it's shaped like Mike Wazowski, so how much more do you want? So later on in the day, we did a couple more rides, and then my mom ended up saving us a really great spot to watch the night parade Dreamlights. While she waited at our spot on a nice bench along the street, I went and got us our favorite flavors of popcorn again. When I tell you that the parks were busy, I'm not even kidding. I think I waited like half an hour to get popcorn, so that's dedication for your Disney snacks. The crowds were even crazier in DisneySea, so I will be sure to talk about that in my DisneySea video. But anyway, I went and got myself the soy sauce and butter popcorn, and then I went and got my mom the milk chocolate popcorn because those were our favorites. After that, I headed back to her at our saved spot and we got to eat popcorn while we waited for the parade. Just getting off topic, this Tokyo trip was just such a special memory for me and my mom. We just had the best time together, so even just talking about it now just makes me so happy. So now I will talk a little bit about Dreamlights. Like I said before, the Tokyo Disney parades are larger than life, and Dreamlights is no exception. It's basically like the Main Street Electrical Parade, but at a whole new level. These parade floats were absolutely incredible. They were ginormous, and they were for so many different Disney characters and different Disney scenes, and oh my goodness, it was just absolutely magical. The one for Genie, I believe, kept changing colors. It was so amazing. There was one for Cheshire Cat and Alice in Wonderland, and I believe he kept disappearing, which was really cool. There was a beautiful one for Cinderella and her carriage, which I absolutely loved. My favorite float in the whole parade by far, though, was the one that they had for Tangled. It was Rapunzel and Flynn standing in front of Rapunzel's tower, and all around them were these beautiful golden flowers like the one that gave Rapunzel her magical powers, and the lights with the flowers would make them look like they were blooming and folding and changing colors. It was just so beautiful. So yes, Dreamlights is absolutely incredible. I believe it's almost tied for my favorite night parade with Paint the Night, but it was absolutely beautiful. So after Dreamlights, my mom and I had actually snagged a fast pass earlier on to go on the attraction called Pooh's Honey Hunt. Pooh's Honey Hunt is one of the most popular attractions in Tokyo Disneyland, so I was very excited to go on it. Basically, if you haven't heard of the attraction before, it is very different from the classic Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh ride. Pooh's Honey Hunt is actually a trackless ride. If you haven't heard of trackless rides before, basically they are rides that do not follow a track, but instead they are programmed to move around on their own. This also means that the ride kind of has a mind of its own, so you can never really predict what's going to happen or where you're going to be going next. Pooh's Honey Hunt is so cute. Of course, it follows the story of Winnie the Pooh as he is on his hunt to find his daily honey, but it is so incredible because basically in the different scenes, the trackless ride will take you into these big ginormous rooms, and you don't know where you're going because you can go up to all sorts of different stations in the ride and meet different characters and have different interactions with the audio animatronics. And something that's special about the ride is that it can be a different experience every time because the trackless ride will program you to go to different locations. There are tons of different scenes. My favorite one was in the giant room with all the different heffalumps because you're just zooming around and everything is just so fun. It's so hard to explain how amazing this ride is, but definitely try to go look up a video on YouTube because it's seriously one of my favorite Disney rides now. And that was actually my first experience with a Disney trackless ride. Now I've been on Rise the Resistance, which is also another favorite attraction of mine, but this ride just blew my mind. So yes, definitely go check out Pooh's Honey Hunt. It was a real must-do for me and it was so worth it. Alright, so that kind of wraps up my 2 days in the Tokyo Disneyland park, and now I think I will just wrap up the video with some overall thoughts of my experience at Tokyo Disneyland. So like I said, unfortunately the park was very busy when we visited, but you know, we made the best of it and we were still able to do plenty of our must-dos. Tokyo Disneyland is that same familiar Disney magic that you would find at Disneyland in California or in Magic Kingdom in Florida, but it has its own special Tokyo touches, like I said before. Everything in the park was just so cute and colorful. It was like Disney magic to the extreme. I didn't really feel like there was any language barrier going to a Disney park in Japan. Cast members are of course always very eager to help and we were able to communicate even if they had a little bit of English. It was just pretty easy to get along. If I had to pick a favorite treat, it would definitely be the Mike's Melon Bread like I said before, and if I had to pick a favorite attraction throughout the whole experience, it would be Pooh's Honey Hunt because that was just absolutely so much fun. Tokyo Disneyland is just such a special place. Like I absolutely fell in love with Japan and Tokyo when I visited. I am dying to go back. Let me know if you're interested in me filming a video talking about my experience in the city of Tokyo because I absolutely just fell in love with it. There is so much to see and do and I love the Japanese culture. So yes, I'm just absolutely dying to go back to Japan. My mom and I are hoping to be able to go in the next few years or so, so fingers crossed I'll be able to get to experience the magic of Tokyo Disneyland again. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video talking about my experiences when I visited Tokyo Disneyland in 2018. I will be making a video talking about my experience visiting the Tokyo DisneySea park, which I'm very excited to share with you guys as well. If there's anything in particular you would like to know about Tokyo DisneySea, be sure to leave a comment down below and I will do my best to include it in the video. If you have any questions about visiting Tokyo Disneyland, please let me know. I'm always happy to share my experiences with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Disney content and adventures. And until my next video, I wish you all a magical day and I'll see you real soon. Bye!